All right, Shalom. Here's your brother Nahal, your friend of GMS Orlando camp. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone Heart, the elders of Yasher Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwat who are believing this word, in all truth and in sincerity. Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Bahashem is in the name, Rakah is spirit, Kodash is holy, Akyam is brothers, Akwat is sisters, Shalom means peace, and Yasher Allah is Israel in ancient Paleo-Hebrew. All right, I'm going to entitle this lesson either Who is Esau Edom, or Bible scholars don't know who Esau is, something to that effect. All right, I want to bring out some precepts and some text commentaries to show that, the so-called Christian scholars, who deal with these commentaries really don't know the scriptures. They don't really know prophecy. They can give you historical context in certain areas, but ultimately they don't understand prophecy. All right, so let's start off here. All right, this is 2nd Esdras 6 and verse 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Now, the reason I want to bring that out is because it's important to note that Esau would have the last rulership before the one they ignorantly call Jesus has his dominion with the Israelites as joint heirs, because the kingdom was promised unto Israel. All right, contrary to what the modern Christian narrative is, the kingdom was always promised to the nation of Israel after the kings of the heathens ruled. All right, as a matter of fact, before I go to Obadiah, because I want to grab Obadiah and some text commentary to show that these so-called scholars don't really know what's going on. All right, but before I do that, this is Daniel chapter 2, and I'm going to jump down to the point at verse 44. All right, and it reads, "And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." And this is why the apostles said this when they saw Yahweh Shai. All right, after Yahweh Shai had been put to death and been raised up, in the mind of the apostles, this was the kingdom being returned to Israel was close. And this shows you that they had an understanding of prophecy. All right, this is Acts 1 and 6. And it reads, "When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power." Which means the Lord didn't rebuke them for saying, "Will the Lord restore the kingdom unto Israel?" Because it was always known amongst the Israelites about the prophecies concerning the Messiah and the kingdom of heaven. It wasn't a multinational kingdom. This is why when we go to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, it says that the kingdom will not be left to other people. All right, I'm going to go back to it. This is Daniel 2 and 44 again. And it reads, "And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever." All right, when you go to Daniel, the 7th chapter, it talks about the saints taking the kingdom and possessing the kingdom forever. The saints isn't talking about some multinational coalition. It's talking about the Israelites. The Israelites are considered the saints. All right, now let's get this. This is Daniel 7. All right, I'm going to jump down to verse 18. All right, and it reads, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. And no other nation is known as the saints outside of the Israelites." All right, matter of fact, let's go here. In Psalms, I believe it's the 50th. Yep. This is Psalms 50 and 5. And it reads, "Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice." And who is that? That's the Israelites. All right. So it's not talking about a coalition, a multinational kingdom when you're dealing with the kingdom of heaven. All right, it's dealing with the nation of Israel ruling under the one they call Jesus, whose name is Yahweh Shai. All right, now the reason I want to jump to Esau, Edom, it's important because when you deal with prophecy, Esau, Edom is a major figure in prophecy. And until, beginning with our apostles and their elders before them, Edom was not a topic amongst Christians, even though it's a prominent topic when you deal with prophecy. Why do I say that? All right, because when you go to Isaiah 63, all right, this is clearly describing a future prophecy. All right, and I'm going to read it. Isaiah 63:1, it reads, "Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come." Now, why is this important? Because this is a future prophecy. Now, let's, for example, go into David Guzik's commentary. All right. And this is why with the commentaries, beginning with our apostles that mention this often, you gotta eat the meat and spit out the bones, because again, you have to keep in mind that these so-called scholars don't really understand prophecy. They can speak on certain historical events, they can speak on certain locations on biblical maps, but as far as prophecy, they don't understand it. All right, so let's go into it. All right, so this is the David Guzik commentary. It says, "Who is this who comes from Edom?" I say, this prophecy describes the day of the Lord's vengeance. He has come from Edom in the sense that he has judged there first, and now comes to the land of Israel. As the Lord arrives, he is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. Here's the point. It says, with dyed garments from Basra is also significant. Basra was the capital city of ancient Edom, and the important city of Basra is singled out because it means grape gathering. All right, and Isaiah developed detailed comparisons between treading grapes and pouring out blood. Now, the point right here is that Basra is the chief or capital city in ancient Edom. So it's still directing towards Edom. All right, now I want to jump down to this point. All right, let's jump down to part 2. Because this is going to show you that David Guzik understands this is a future prophecy. All right, it says, "Why is your apparel red?" The prophet asks why the garment of the Lord is red. And the Lord answers, "I have trodden the winepress alone. Their blood is sprinkled upon my garments." This promise is fulfilled when Yahweh Shai returns to the earth. And this passage is clearly behind passages like Revelation 19 and 13 and 15. He was clothed with a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. Now out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should strike the nations, and he himself will rule them with a rod of iron. He himself treads the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of Almighty Yahweh Shai. All right, so this shows you that this is a future prophecy. All right, and David Guzik understands that this is a future prophecy. But where he stumbles at is Edom and identifying who Esau Edom is. All right, and the reason I say that, all right, is because when you jump to Obadiah, all right, and this is just going to show you that these guys don't know, they don't understand prophecy. All right, so when you deal with Obadiah, I'm going to jump down to verse 18, all right, and then we'll get Guzik's commentary again to show. All right, Obadiah 1 and 18 reads, "And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it." Now, when you go to David Guzik's commentary on this subject, verse 18 in particular, I'm going to jump straight to it. All right. Here it is. All right, so this is part 2. All right, going into verses 17 through 20, and I'm going to just get the point. It says, on Mount Zion there should be deliverance. It says, the trials and burdens among God's people are only temporary, because among them there shall be deliverance. However, the attack coming against Edom will be different. Israel will be the fire, and they will be the stubble, and Edom will be completely devoured. Now look at this. It says, the word of the Lord through Obadiah proved true. The Edomites fought side by side with the Jews in the rebellion against Rome in AD 66 to 70, and were crushed by Rome, never to be heard of as a people again. The predictions of Obadiah 1 and 10 and 1 and 18 were precisely fulfilled. You just won't meet an Edomite today, which is BS. All right, because he just said in Isaiah the 63rd chapter that a future prophecy concerning Edom and the Lord's return means that Edom would still have to be on the earth. All right, and this shows you that these guys don't know what's going on. All right, and this is why we read these scriptures. All right, and we go through these commentaries and we pull out the meat, but we spit out the bones, because they don't have a grip on prophecy. All right, when you look at these guys and what they mention concerning prophecy, they don't have a grasp on it. All right, there's Ecclesiastes 4 and 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in him. Surely this also is vanity and vexation of spirit. So again, it says there is no end of all the people, because the end of Esau, Edom, the scriptures talk about no survivors in the house of Jacob. I mean, in the house of Edom, Salakia. Matter of fact, let me go back to that. So this is Obadiah 1 and 18 again. And it reads, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it. So this isn't talking about the land, it's talking about the people. All right, when you read this in the NLT, it says the people of Israel will be a raging fire, and Edom a field of dry stubble. The descendants of Joseph will be a flame, roaring across the field, devouring everything. There will be no survivors in Edom. I, the Lord, have spoken. All right, and what David Guzik tried to do was, on one side of the commentary in Isaiah 63, say that this is a future prophecy concerning Edom. And then when you fast forward to Obadiah, he's saying that it was already done with 70 AD, which it's not biblical. All right, because again, if you continue in Obadiah 1, all right, let's just continue. I'm going to jump down to verse 21. And it reads, and saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. So this is a clear correlation, all right, with the end of Edom and the kingdom being given to the Israelites. This is why in Esdras it says this, 2nd Esdras 6 and 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. When you deal closely with prophecy, you understand that Esau is the last heathen nation to have rulership before the kingdom of heaven is established. All right, this is why Ezra is saying Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, because it goes back to the promises, all right, that was made when you deal with Genesis. All right, matter of fact, let's go to that. This is Genesis 25, and I want to jump down to verse 21, and it reads, and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over, like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 old when she bare them. All right, so Jacob is clearly the younger, Esau is clearly the older, and it clearly said that the elder shall serve the younger. And Christians don't deal with these topics because, again, it deals with nationality. All right. It deals clearly with nationality. When you go to Hebrews, the 12th chapter, it clearly says that Esau found no place of repentance. So how can this narrative of any nation can be saved if they call on the Lord? How can that be possible if the Lord has a judgment against an entire nation of people? It makes no sense. All right, let's go here. This is Hebrews chapter 12, and I'm going to jump down to the point in verse 16. It reads, "Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. He found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears." So we've grabbed a few scriptures to show that Esau is an important part of prophecy. So identifying who Esau is today is extremely important. And we understand that Esau would have dominion. All right. He would have the fatness of the earth, and he would have to live by the sword. Because these Edomites have this whole thing of it's not, or I'll say these Christians have this whole argument of Esau ain't the so-called white man. Well, who is he? Who is he today? Who fits these prophecies? Let's get what Isaac told Esau. All right, this is Genesis chapter 27. And 32. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, where is he that hath taken venison and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. Because again, Isaac blessed Jacob, all right, assuming that it was Esau. But again, when you go to Genesis, the 25th chapter, the Lord said that the elder shall serve the younger, and Esau is clearly the elder. All right, so it was already prophesied before Jacob so-called stole a birthright, because it was his anyway. Esau had sold it when you go into the actual account. Verse 34 reads, And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord. Now this is important. And all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right, because again, when you're reading this prophecy, you have to understand that Isaac gave Esau a temporary blessing. This is why he started it off by saying, Look, I have made your brother your Lord. You know, what else can I give you? So what Isaac did was he gave him a temporary blessing. He told him that he would have to live by the sword, that he would enjoy the fatness of the earth, but he would have to maintain it with the sword. So he would have a temporary kingdom. And this takes me back to 2 Esdras 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. That's why Esau is important, because Esau would have dominion and rulership at the end of this age and the beginning of the age of Jacob, which truly begins with the rulership of the one they ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahushai. And what happens is when you ask Christians who Esau is today, they can't answer that question. And it's extremely important because you see Esau mentioned very prominently, all right, in the scriptures concerning prophecy and judgment. No survivors in the house of Edom. It's important to know who that is the Lord is talking to. You know, you got certain parts in the commentary where they say the Lord don't really hate Esau. Matter of fact, I want to bring that out. Because if you go here to Malachi, the first chapter, all right, in the 3rd verse, it says, "And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness." Now, when you go into the text commentary, David Guzik, check this folly out. It says, I'm going to jump to the point. It says, "Yet Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." God asked Israel to find assurance in his election, his choice of them. He wanted them to understand that they were chosen and remained his chosen and favorite people. When the people of Israel compared themselves to their neighbors, the Edomites, the descendants of Esau, they saw God chose to preserve Israel, and he punished the Edomites. Now let me jump down. Here it is. This is the point. Part D, it says, "God did not hate Esau in the sense of cursing him or striking out against him. Indeed, Esau was a blessed man. Yet when God chose Jacob, he left Esau unchosen in regard to receiving the blessing given to Abraham." And that's just not true. Saying God did not hate Esau in the sense of cursing him or striking out against him. Why do we say that's not true? Let's go here. It'll show you that these Christians mix their feelings into the scriptures and try to make it law. And it ain't, you know. There's Isaiah 34. And I'm going to start at verse 4. All right, and it reads, "And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree." Here's the point. "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." So you're hearing this guy saying, look, God did not hate Esau in the sense of cursing him or striking out against him. Isaiah 34 says something completely different. It says, "It shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." It's important to identify who Esau is today. All right, because again, these are future prophecies. All right, now when you go into the actual Hebrew word for hate in verse 3, it is actual hate. It's not some kind of pseudonym for love less. It ain't none of that bullshit. Excuse my French. All right, this is the Hebrew word for hate. All right. All right, it's san or sanah. All right, and it says to hate, be hateful, to hate of man of God, hater, one hating enemy, to be hated, hater of persons, nations, God, wisdom. It says hate. Now, when you go to where else it's used, I want to get this one because this is important. Leviticus 19:17 reads, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him." And it's the same word. All right. So it's not some love less. It's talking about hate. All right. Let's go to that word. All right. And the word for hate again is sanah. All right. So it's clearly the same word. All right. And I just wanted to bring these examples out to show that Christian scholars can't tell you who Esau Edom is today. All right. And really it's because they either willfully ignorant or they just completely ignorant. But for those who don't know, Esau Edom is the self-proclaimed white man today. All right. That is his biblical nationality. All right. They try to say that the Edomites are the so-called Arabs, but you don't see the Arabs living with the fatness of the earth by the sword. Their wealth comes from oil, not from their military might. That's only one nation of people on earth who is controlling the planet through military might. Going back to what Isaac gave Esau, that he would live by the sword. All right, so it's clear, who Esau Edom is, but then when you ask Christians, they'll say that it's not the so-called white man, but then they can't tell you who it is. And then you look at their scholars and the commentaries that they give you, and they don't have a clear answer on who Esau Edom is, which shows you the Lord revealed the truth by his servants, the prophets. All right. He didn't reveal it by these so-called scholars in these institutions. This is why they, to this day, 2025, they can't answer the question of who Esau Edom is. Then when they try to swing at it, they just trip and fall. We just saw David Guzik say that the Edomites were wiped away in 70 AD, and at the same time said that Isaiah 63 is talking about a future judgment. That's confusion. All right, this is Amos 3 and 7. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. And see, the problem that the world has is that they don't like the message of the Lord, and they definitely don't like the messengers of the Lord. They rather hear this message from anybody outside of Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but it don't make it untrue. All right, this is 2 Esdras 6 and 27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. All right, so Lord willing, this was edifying with that. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasha Allah, and a sincere salutation to all Yuakim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwat, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.